pertains to every aspect of life. Let us go this morning to the book of Exodus. Let us notice the book of Exodus this morning. And we're looking at the 23rd chapter. Want you to bear in mind when we look at Exodus 23, I want you to bear in mind what was said in Hebrews 11, the 11th chapter. The Bible talks about a number of men and women who were able to do things because of faith. The Bible talks about by faith Abraham did, by faith Noah did, by faith Moses did, by faith Enoch was able to do this, that, and other. So we see faith as being a powerful thing that through faith you can get some things done. Things that the average person will say, I can't do that. But because you're a faith walker, or because we are faith walkers, we can do it by faith. Then we look at the book of Philippians where Paul said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So our previous message dealt with by faith, I can do it. And so this morning we're going to look at something, and it's not going to directly talk to us about a faith walker, but it is going to reveal something to us about faith walkers. And that if we are faith walkers, we'll be able to do certain things. We'll be able to live a certain lifestyle. That lifestyle being one of faith. Because remember, when the Bible talks about in 2 Corinthians 5 and 7, for we walk by faith or we live by faith, that's a lifestyle. Faith is what governs us. Are y'all with me so far? Because this is going to, today's message is just so important. I believe every message from God is important. Amen. Notice Exodus 23, because somebody will say, well, Pastor, you say that every Sunday. Yeah, but every message from God is important. I don't know how you can receive a message from God and say, well, that wasn't important. God told me, but it ain't. Come on, God? God said something irrelevant? God said something meaningless? No. If God tell you to shut up, that's important. If you don't hear from God the rest of the day, the most important message you got was shut up. And how can you base that? Because it came from God. They used to have a saying when E.F. Hutton speak. Y'all in there, everybody listen. And see, that ain't true because I ain't never heard from E.F. Hutton. And a lot of you didn't even know who he was. But it should be when God speak. Everybody should be what? Listening. Let me tell you something real quick before I go in this. I found out about God. God never talked just to talk. God never talked just to hear himself talk. If God take the time to talk to you, directly or indirectly, what he's saying to you is important. And he ain't like other folks saying stuff to you, but they really don't know your life. God's saying to you something that is based upon him knowing your life. He knowing what's going on with you. And that's what I love to hear from him. Because it's stuff I ain't told nobody. When God started bringing that word, guess what? That word ain't just for you. That word is first of all for me. God know what I'm going through. God don't just know what you went through, and he don't just know what you're going through. Teach it, pal. But God know what you're about to go through. And so everything he says to me is important. See, God will speak something today that's going to help you with what's about to happen in the morning. You don't know what tomorrow holds, but God says, I do. So let me talk to you. Give me your ear for an hour or whatever it may be. There are churches that people go to, and basically the pastor is going to teach a sermon. He has not prayed. This is what he's familiar with. So he's going to teach it. In certain denominations, it don't matter what the congregation going through. Everybody in that denomination is going to get that same message. How do you know? Because they sent out the messages a year in advance. Already letting you know, on this Sunday you teach this, on this Sunday. So if you in one church and you go to another church in that denomination, they teaching the same thing. See, nobody has prayed. Or a preacher could be up saying something good that he heard another preacher say. He ain't got on his knees and prayed and asked God, so it sounds good to you, but watch this. It's not going to impact your life because that's not what God had for you to hear. But then when you get in front of a praying preacher, see, the word then becomes relevant for you. It was prepared for you. It's tailor-made. No way it's not going to fit. And see, the word God coming with today, it's a word from God, and it's a word that fits. Are y'all with me? You know how important that is? Everybody's not as blessed as we are that you come to church. You're going to hear from God. You may like what God says to you. You may not like it. But it's going to come from God. If every time I get up here and I'm saying, and you just like every time Pastor speak, I just love it. He never gets under my skin, never steps on my toes. Pastor ain't hearing from God. Because eventually God going to get all of us. He going to get up under your skin for a few minutes. Then he going to jump on your neighbor and get all up under they. I'm already teaching. So you learn when you mature. Don't get mad because a word hits you. Just make sure you saying, hey, the next time that's preached, I won't be right there. It won't hit me like that again because I'm on change. Oh, yeah. Exodus 23, verse number 2. We just reading the A clause. Exodus 23, verse number 2. Y'all ready? The Bible said, you shall not follow a crowd to do evil. Woo. You shall not follow a crowd to do evil. This is what God tells Moses to tell Israel. You shall not follow a crowd to do evil. This morning I want to talk to you from the subject, don't follow a evil crowd. Don't follow a evil crowd. If you don't mind, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor the subject this morning. Don't follow a evil crowd. And then look at somebody and just say, be careful who you follow. And let's give God a praise for our subject. Don't follow a evil crowd. Come on. Let's thank God for this subject this morning. Before we begin, it's important to understand that God is not only speaking to his people, to Israel, but God is in the book of Exodus because Israel is coming into being a family. God is, if you will, raising them up, and he's showing them how to prosper. He's showing them through the leader Moses how to be productive in every aspect of life. Because you have to remember that Israel is coming out of Egypt. Israel is coming out of bondage. They have been slaves for almost 400 plus years. And so God recognizes that it is not going to be easy to train them how they need to think. In other words, God has to go through a process, if you will, of getting Egypt out of the mind of Israel. Some of you missed it. I said God got to go through a process of getting Egypt out of the mind of Israel. Pastor, why do you say it that way? Because he physically got them out of Egypt. He moved them out of Egypt again with his strong right arm of power or authority. Through Moses, God would say to Pharaoh, let my people go. Now understand, Pharaoh is not a name, but a title. Pharaoh is the title of a man who thinks he's God. But then God says to Moses, go down into Egypt and say to that man who thinks he's God, let my people go. Oh, can I paraphrase it? Go down to Egypt and show Pharaoh who's the boss. Go down there and show him who's really in charge. And so God physically gets Israel out of Egypt to the point to where their bodies are no longer in Egypt. But it was far more difficult to get the mind out of Egypt, because sometimes you'll find out that your body is in one place, but your mind is not where your body is. Oh, I know I'm preaching right. And so God going through a process of raising up people who've been poor, people who've been mistreated, folk who got a right to be bitter and angry. God said, I'm bringing you out of bondage. I want you to lay down the bitterness, and I'm going to teach y'all to be owners. Y'all been renting. Y'all been living in other folks' stuff, but I got to teach you how to have your own stuff. Yeah. It's a process. When you've been in one place for years, God can't move you overnight. You ain't ready to get it. But what he'll do, he'll tell you about it. Come on, somebody. He'll talk to you about where he's taking you. But he ain't going to get you there overnight, because in the process of getting you there, he's got to train you. Got to get some stuff up out of you that ain't meant for the promised land. That's the reason when God is working on you, be still and let him work. When you don't have much, let him work on you. Let him show you how to appreciate having just a little bit, just enough to make it. Because when he gets you to the place where you got more than enough, you ain't stuck up, you ain't snooty, you ain't high booty. No. I'm trying to teach it right. You just as humble as you can be. Because you remember the days when you didn't have much. Oh, look at somebody shout, show it right, show it right. Some of us went from frying bologna to eating ribeyes. Some of us went to paying on bills to paying off. And some folks just sitting there like, what are you talking about? We ain't talking to you right now. We talking about people going somewhere. We talking about folk, God getting ready for a new city, getting them ready for a new house, getting you ready for a new promotion. God will have you dressing and looking good, but people don't know what you're wearing is hand-me-down. What you're wearing is from the second-hand store. But God said, let me work on your mind, and you're going to wear what you want to wear. Woo! Can I teach it right? God ain't against no woman having red bottom. God ain't against you having certain things. He just got to get you right. God forbid, be seated, you get the red bottoms and it changed the way you walk. You've always walked like this, but because you got red bottoms on, you kicking your feet up. God, no, that ain't God. Come on, y'all know how folks are. Got a little jewelry on, they got to talk like this. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? God to get you so blessed where you just as cool. Folk don't even know all you got. Until they see you somewhere, then they walk up and say, I didn't know you had that. Oh, yeah, I had this for a minute. Let me move on with this. And so, see, he's working with them. See how excited we got then? You're going to always get excited when God talk about what he's going to do, what he's about to do, or get anybody up that really believe God, and you'll be shouting. But there's a process. So through Moses, God has to start giving Israel precepts, statutes, laws, and ordinances that they are to live by. And therein lies the problem. In that the problem is revealed that many of them are going to have, or that they're going to struggle with. He says to Moses, let my people know that you shall not follow a crowd to do evil. Now here in this little verse is revealed the problem that a lot of folk have. And that problem is being told what to do. God, I want your blessings, but I don't know if I want you telling me what to do. Because you got folk that they just don't like being told what to do. See, some of you done fell in church this morning. You know I'm on it already. That's your problem. You're a good man. Just don't like being told what to do. I ain't got no problem with the church thing, but I don't necessarily need a pastor. Because, you know, he put his pants on the same way that I put my pants on. So he can tell me a little bit, but I don't need nobody telling me what to do every Sunday and this, that, and the other. Well, see, first of all, you're wrong because you don't know how I put my pants on. You don't know if I lay across the bed and just stretch them up. Or you don't know if I don't got something that'll help me put them on. But you know, all that's past the point. Because in life, somebody, has been given the responsibility to tell you what to do. To tell me what to do. We better deal with that. I don't like the supervisor telling me what to do. Now, I like to pay. Like that we get a 30-minute break, not a 15 like at my old job. But I just don't like this supervisor telling me what to do. Y'all gonna let me work with it a little bit? You know you were speeding when the police pulled you over. And all he asked for is your license and your registration. You already know you were speeding. But you don't like him telling you what to do. Why he got to say it like that? Look, he can say it any kind of way he want to because you broke the law in the first place and gave him the right to pull you over. Now shut your mouth and listen closely to what he's telling you to do. Let me deal with it. I don't like the traffic director telling me what to do. You know, sometimes you think you finna go and they say, you stop. And then they do this. Some of us be in the car arguing with the woman and she can't even hear you. Why you stop me? They trying to let the buses get out. They trying to let the parents picking up the children get out first. They got an order, just you don't want to be told what to do. See, we laughing. Some folk don't like a parent telling them what to do. There are young folks in here, you don't pay no bills. Woo! You still in that mindset where you think tissue free. You think ketchup growing on trees. You still in that stage. But you don't want your parent telling you what to do. You married, but you don't want your spouse telling you what to do. You belong to the church, but you don't want pastor telling you what to do. Even though 1 Corinthians 11:1 said, imitate the pastor as the pastor imitates Christ. See, the thing you have to think about with all these examples, including myself as pastor, is what I'm saying right? Listen to what I said. You have to ask yourself, is what pastor saying right? Because if what he's saying is right, he can tell me what to do, and I need to do it. But I need to do it because it's right. Don't let nobody play with you. You do everything that man tells you to do. Hold up now. I do what the man tells me to do that's according to the will of God. Let's get it straight. That I don't mind telling you. If what pastor's telling me to do is right, then I'm going to do it. Whoa, I didn't get me an amen. I said I'm going to do it. If he telling me right, I'm going to do it. Don't let nobody divide you in a way that you don't need to be divided. Your husband telling you what to do, but what he telling you to do is wrong. What I'm saying you need to do is right. Don't you come with that trash about, well, he think that I'm siding with you. He think I'm choosing you over him. And so I'm going to have to do what he want me to do so he don't feel that way. You a fool. You need to let him know, look, I'm doing what pastor tells me to do, because in this case, what pastor saying is right. And it so happens that what you saying is wrong again. Come on. Now I'm married to Donna and I love Donna, but Donna ain't going to just be right because she's my wife. No, I'm not going to agree with wrong. If she wrong, she just what? Wrong. You say, but that's your wife. Don't matter. That first lady. Don't matter. She wrong. If a deacon wrong, he just wrong. When you wrong, you just wrong. Some men didn't grow up with a daddy. And they'll say stuff sometimes like, man, I wish I had a daddy to tell me this, that, and enough. And so God said, okay, I'm going to send a man in your life then. That man come in their life telling them what to do. And they, wait a minute. I don't need nobody. But you say you missing out. You said you needed somebody to. Marriage all jacked up, and then God said, I'm going to send you over here for some counseling, and this couple going to tell you what to do. But see, when it comes to God, we never have to question if what he's saying is right. Oh, come on, tell your neighbor, I know he's right about it. Tell your neighbor, everybody else on this chart, and those who ain't on it, you always question if what they're saying is right. But listen, when it comes to God, you don't have to do that. Because he's never going to tell you wrong. Are y'all with me? He'll never tell you wrong. So God says through Moses, tell my people again that they shall not follow a crowd to do evil. And when he says it, because he is God, then this is right for them to do or not to do. Are y'all with me before we deal with this? Are you with me? Because some of you going to have to admit that's your struggle. That's your weakness. See, sometimes God will disguise your answer in a person. I said sometimes God will disguise your answer in a person. But when you got the attitude, ain't nobody telling me what to do. See, you're going to miss your answer. You're going to miss your blessing. While you putting the hand up to somebody, you putting the hand up to your blessing. Because what they was about to tell you was what you needed to do. Come on. And ain't nothing like getting old. Getting on up in age. Gray hair and all. But even with a head full of gray hair, you still need to be told at times what to do. Come on. You ain't too old to be told what to do. I got a degree. You got a degree, but you still can be told what to do. I got money. You got money, but you still can be told what to do. Are y'all ready? So he tells them, you shall not follow a crowd to do evil. Let's deal with this word follow. So what he's saying to Israel, again, this young nation, don't forget earlier when we were shouting and dancing, he's moving them somewhere better. So he says to them, you shall not follow a crowd to do evil. Follow. He first of all saying to them, don't imitate the wrong people. Be careful who y'all copy. Be careful that you don't simulate something that's not right. Don't follow a crowd to do evil. Be careful who you choose to pattern yourself after. Woo, that sunk right there. It had to. You got to be careful who you choose to pattern yourself after. Because see, you can choose to pattern yourself after somebody that you really don't even know. Come on, think about how many people try to be like folk on TV. Listen to me, even though they don't know the person on TV. Oh, I'm finna come home now. Some of you swear you know Oprah. You ain't ever met Oprah. You ain't ever talked. You know Oprah on TV. You know her personality. But you don't know her. You don't know who she really is before you go and pattern yourself. I got to bring it home a little bit. You ever heard men talk? They'll talk about their favorite player like they know them. Like they'll tell you what they ate last night. LeBron ain't going to do that. See what LeBron going to do. LeBron was waiting on him to. You know LeBron? No. Stop playing. Oh, you talking like you. See, you don't know people. This is the reason the Bible warns church people to know them that labor among you. You don't know a TV preacher. You don't really know the life that bishop is living. Because if you did, some of you wouldn't have certain books. You wouldn't have certain CDs. Yeah, that man preaches a good message. But do you know that man got illegitimate children in his congregation that leadership know about? You sure you want to be like him because he pastors a mega church?
Thank you for watching the Making People Productive broadcast with Pastor Leonard D. Cochran of A Place of Refuge, Noonan. To order your copy of today's message, please call the church office at 770-252-3855 and reference the message number listed below. We want to hear from you. If you have been helped, strengthened, or encouraged by the word, let us know. Also, don't forget to connect with us on all of our major social media platforms to receive exclusive information and updates with all things Refuge Noonan. A Place of Refuge Noonan is located in the city of Noonan, Georgia. If you would like to visit us, our worship times are every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. on location and live at 10:45 a.m. We also have service every Wednesday at 7:15 p.m. via Facebook and YouTube Live.